are the Piranha Club, where the enemy of your enemy is your friend, but also another enemy that has enemies of their own. Trying to decode the politics of F1 in real time is like trying to traverse an MC Escher-esque building, where the winding nature of it leaves you dizzy and questioning what you even went looking for in the first place. The retrospective takes take far too much time to come out to bear much impact at all. I mean, hey, just look at Felipe Massa's futile attempts to claim a championship all these years later, even with the robust nature of his case. The nearest allies are often embroiled in close competition of their own, and it's hard to remember sometimes that each team stands as a monolith all unto itself, where scrutiny and dismissive language can be cast even at those closest to them. While one team cries for change, their closest ally has been crying Wolff. However, it wasn't Toto that had dismissive words this time. Want to know what's been going on at McLaren that has James Allison's tail up? Whether it's posturing or merely saying things out of hope, being dismissive of one of your closest allies doesn't exactly seem like the best move. And stick around, because recent announcements coming out of Mercedes may just point to them feeling capable of competing moving into next season, regardless of McLaren's fears. So where else to start but at the beginning? At McLaren's livery launch, Zak Brown saved no time for the festive niceties often seen at these events and immediately started going for throats. This man's collar was up from minute one, making his thoughts very clear indeed. So what was it that took Zak's attention away from the shiny, newish paint job? Well, according to Zak, there is something big at play, and it all hinges on the shared ownership between Red Bull and AlphaTauri. The thing I would like to see us as a sport focus on is where we sit on the regulation side with AB team co-ownership. I believe it's a serious issue for the fairness of the sport, for the fans. That's why it's pretty much not allowed in any other form of major sport. I'd like to see us as an industry focus on it before it gets to a level of being where Formula 1 once was, which is very out of balance because people are playing by the rules, but a different set of rules. Okay, so that's a pretty fair sentiment. The closest to home example that I can think of here is how European football balances out teams with shared ownership, or at least those without Red Bull in the title, looking at you Leipzig and Salzburg. Let's take new co-owners of Manchester United, Ineos and Sir Jim Radcliffe. They also own Nice, leading to an issue wherein if both teams are in the qualifying places for the Champions League, whoever finishes lower in their respective league has to forfeit their place due to the rules surrounding sporting integrity. The concerns that Brown has voiced hinges on the lack of scrutiny surrounding co-ownership between two teams, making them not just an AB team, but an AB team with shared ownership in a system that limits the spending on team owners of each individual team, perhaps prompting fears of double dipping from the Red Bull group due to their stake in the sister teams. So what prompted him to speak out about it? It's not like it's a new issue, right? Red Bull have owned both teams since the mid-2000s. AlphaTauri is, from what I understand, moving to the UK, which I think will benefit both teams. So this AB team and co-ownership, which is a whole other level of AB team, is a big concern to us for the health of the sport and the fairness of the sport. When these team cooperation rules were put in place, the sport was in a very different place. We had a huge gap between people like ourselves, who had huge budgets and smaller teams. Now everybody's pretty much at the cap, if not at the cap. So I think everyone's playing with the same size of bat, to use a baseball term, and therefore that's not necessary. But it might give someone an unfair advantage, and I think that's something we need to tackle with the sport quickly. So Zak's fear is that Formula 1 hasn't adapted to suit the modern landscape of the sport and the finances involved, which is a fair point to bring up. Giveth the yard, taketh the mile after all, especially in a sport where champions are created around abusing the most loopholes possible. However, while everyone was freaking out about Brown's statement claiming that all of these teams unrelated to Red Bull must surely be in agreement, James Allison and Mercedes seems to have missed that memo. That's right, McLaren's closest allies did not come rushing to their side and support, rather they adopted the designated driver approach to calming down a mate who's enraged after having won too many. The way that rule is written is very broad and very powerful, and it pretty much makes any communication not permitted. That's right, Zak, take a chill pill. There's no way a team can go behind the governing body's back in an unprecedented and scandalous manner and not get caught. If any team is going to know about that, then surely it would be McLaren. All jokes aside, Allison continued his response to the up-in-arms McLaren CEO by saying, If two teams have a strong relationship with each other, it can only really be a strong commercial relationship. It cannot be a strong technical or a strong sporting relationship because the rules forbid that. In the past, it was more open, and the relationship that Mercedes enjoyed with the team that is now Aston Martin, at the time that was a relationship that permitted much greater freedom than it does today. In response to that relationship, the rules were tightened up substantially to mean you cannot really have a technical or sporting relationship. If it turns out there is one, that is something that would cause unhappiness, so there is not much mileage to seek close relationships with other teams from a technical point of view because it is not allowed. I mean, it does all sound a bit rich commenting on the partnership which led to the pink Mercedes. However, the nature of the relationship between Aston and Mercedes was spoken about fairly recently, discussing the different doors to enter the shared wind tunnel facility and the spy movie-esque security and encryptions. However, it must be said that all of this confidence may well be short-sighted and this example rendered moot, as the example Allison speaks of does not contain the main point of concern that Zach has, namely the shared ownership. At least before there was distance between the two Red Bull teams, with one being based over in a sunny paradise known for its culture, and the other being based in Italy, Forza Milton Keynes. And with the current plans to bring them closer in both a physical sense, as well as the confirmed plans of them working as close as possible in a working sense, with both Christian Horner and Helmut Marko recently confirming the team's independence that it gained in recent years will be retired alongside Franz Tost, then the concerns of Zak Brown may not be all that unfounded. Time will tell what will become of the sister team. It's not like Red Bull can be forced to sell even if the teams don't like it. However, the usefulness of the second team may be rendered inconsequential if further restrictions are put into place as Brown has requested. James Allison wasn't only in the news for his downplaying recently, as the technical director has penned a new long-term contract with Mercedes. It's been a hell of a couple years for Allison, going from stepping back to do some office work to signing on for frontline duty for the foreseeable future. So with Wolff's contract signed as well as Allison's, the stability of the higher positions at Mercedes must surely have bolstered confidence in the team moving forward. Toto Wolff seemed to feel this, as he gave a glowing response to the news of Allison's contract extension. However, it was Allison that seemed to understand the significance of both his and Toto's commitment to the future of the team. I think it's definitely helpful for a team to know it has stability. It's certainly a big deal for us to know that we have the stability with Toto, and I hope in a smaller way that folk here will be reassured to know that that's the case. The sheer amount of positive news coming out of the Mercedes camp points to one of two things: either massive confidence moving forwards, or massive overcompensation following 2 years of dire underperformance by their standards. If it were just the murmurings of positive testing performance or conceptual pride, then perhaps we would think it's the latter. However, two of the most influential people to the team's success signing new contracts that keep them in their station beyond the start of the upcoming regulation change, which would serve as the ideal point to hop off if they weren't convinced they would be able to rekindle their winning ways, must indicate a real confidence that the form of yesteryear has potentially been rediscovered. We certainly hope that this confidence isn't left shattered like in 2022, as a healthy fight at the top of the sport is beneficial for all parties involved.